It has long been an axiom of mine that the small things are infinitely more important. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, penned that quote. And I really love it because it just sums up life, doesn't it? The small things are infinitely the most important. You see, when we're looking at life, often we put it down to those big moments, perhaps the promotion, the relationship, the wedding maybe, or perhaps the deaths and the losses of our life. We find that these are the most defining things. But actually, if we looked under the surface, if we pull back the veil a little bit, we would see that it's the small things in our lives that actually make the biggest of differences. Let's take, for example, exercise. It's a very small thing to perhaps do 20 push-ups per day, a small action. But over time, it's going to have infinitely bigger results than just deciding for a month of your life to go all in at the gym. Consistency, small actions over a long period of time have a far bigger impact on your life than those one-off big events do. Sure, I'm not discounting the one-off big events, and they certainly can have an impact on us, but it's actually how we approach our day-to-day life that has more impact on how we live, what our life turns out to be like. And when we look at this, and when we sit with it and understand that it's those small actions that are gonna have the biggest impact, it really makes us sit up and think how we spend our time, what we are consuming, what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. For me, it's something that I've wrestled with for a long while. I've struggled with various different addictions, especially social media, and that dopamine hit that you get from just scrolling on your phone, watching short after short or reel after reel. It leaves you feeling numb and empty to a point where, you just feel like you've wasted your time, but you don't know how to break out of it. And what it was about that quote that really struck me is that it's just a small action, isn't it? It's a small thing to spend 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, half an hour or an hour just stuck in a scroll hole on your phone. But what is that doing to us long term? What is that doing to your life? How is that going to impact? What could you have spent that time doing better? And I'm just as guilty of it as you are. It's something I struggled with, I still struggle with, but it really made me sit up and think that this is not the way to be. This is not what we were designed for. It's not who God made us to be. Just sitting there consuming content and reel after reel, short after short, dopamine hit after dopamine hit. So what are some practical ways that we can get over this? What are some practical ways we can break out of these dopamine holes and to try and get a semblance of doing small things well in our life rather than just handing it over to the machine? And for me, I've found that actually just fasting from content has been one of the best ways to overcome this. I have quite an all or nothing personality when it comes to things like this. I struggle to moderate the amount of content I watch. I struggle, especially with video games as well, to not get sucked into having a 10-hour stint. I recently got Baldur's Gate because it was on sale, and I love D&D and it's a phenomenal game, but my goodness, have I spent some hours on that. And I struggle to moderate it. I struggle to put in healthy boundaries. So actually spending some time fasted from those things, I find to be probably the most effective way to deal with it, to reduce my screen time. I will say, 6 days a week, I do not have social media on my phone. I do not watch content. I do not perhaps play video games if that's the thing you're struggling with. I'll allow myself one day of rest where, I do have content creators that I enjoy watching, I get something out of. But it's far more intentional when you limit yourself to perhaps just a day a week. you look forward to it and you enjoy it. It's a reward. And you can spend those other 6 days of the week doing something better with your time, building something, whether it be your body, building your mind by reading, or perhaps building a business or a side hustle, building a YouTube channel. All of these things are far better uses of your time than just constantly scrolling on social media. And those are going to have compounding impacts across your life. Those small things, those small habits that you do on a day-to-day basis will determine the outcome of your life. They'll determine what your life looks like in 5, 10, 20 years' time. I just want you to imagine that if you replaced an hour a day that you spend scrolling on your phone, just shut your eyes and imagine this. You replace that hour a day and you do instead a 15-minute workout. You just spend some time moving your body. This might be a walk, it could be a gym session, just a quick gym session, maybe some calisthenics, doing some push-ups and pull-ups. Whatever works for you. You spend 15 minutes doing that. You then spend another 15 minutes reading. You spend that time perhaps reading a fantasy novel that you enjoy and getting some escapism that way. Or maybe you focus on some non-fiction, you focus on learning, maybe upskilling yourself for your job or just an area that you're interested in. Perhaps it's human relations or communication, psychology. All of these things are things that I'm interested in. And, when I spend time reading about them, it stimulates my mind far more than, I get far more out of that than I do from watching 15 minutes of shorts about it on my phone, but which is the easier one to do. And it takes discipline. It takes, putting those boundaries in place. And then you can spend another 15 minutes journaling, writing your thoughts, getting them out onto a page. You spend that time dealing with those emotions that you are maybe you're just putting on the back burner. You keep getting the notification for them and you think, I'll deal with that later. Spend some time journaling about it, write your thoughts down, get it out there. And you'll be amazed at how different it can make your mindset, how different it changes you, it changes your mind and how you process things, how you deal with things. It makes you a stronger and more resilient person. Gets rid of some of that mental noise. So you spend 15 minutes doing that. And then the last 15 minutes, you just spend in silence, perhaps praying. That's my favourite thing to do with silence, just to pray to God and to, you can pray for prayers of gratitude. Thanksgiving I find to be a really good way of just resetting my mind again and focusing on all that I do have, rather than when we're constantly consuming on social media. Often we're seeing people with bigger and better lives, or we think that have bigger and better lives than we do, and we start to strive more. And when we take some time to be grateful for what we do have, that's really a good use of your time, and it will help your mental state far more than that 15 minutes you would have spent scrolling and thirsting after more. It's very easy to fall into traps of envy, of lust, of greed when we're looking at social media, because that's kind of what's perpetuated. And again, I struggle with all of those when I spend too much time watching content. So take that hour a day that you perhaps spent on Instagram or on YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is, TikTok, and instead invest that time into yourself. Invest some time into your body, into your mind, into your heart and into your spirit, and it will pay dividends. It is those small things that have infinite returns in our life. If you want help with this, if you want to know how to implement this in your life, if you want some structure and some direction to follow, then check out the links in the description. There's a short ebook as well as a longer course that goes more into depth on this, and it's all practices that I have put together and distilled over a long period of time and a lot of trial and error that I have found to work amazingly well for transforming your life. I've taken myself from a place where I was really struggling with my mental health, my physical health, and my emotions, my spirit, all of those things. I just had everything in the wrong order. And I was constantly striving rather than looking at the small areas of my life that I could improve on a day-to-day basis. I condensed all of that into this book and into this course in the hope that it will help other people like me. Because I'm sure you're similar to me if you've watched this far into the video. You probably struggle with a lot of the same things that I have. And yeah, this will help to get you out of that hole that you're in. It will help you to see a positive future, a positive direction and a way forward. And even if you take nothing else from this video, I just want you to dwell on the idea in your mind of taking some time off social media, take some time to fast, even if it's just a day a week where you don't use your phone. It really will pay dividends, and you will notice just how much noise you've got swirling around in your head from it, and it will give you a chance to distill some of that. So I'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.